Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. We are so happy to have you today's webinar on organizational life cycle and ECBO sustainabilities. And I'm really excited to today's special speakers. First of all, we have Haji Adan. Haji is the executive director at the Refugee and Immigrant Self-Empowerment Inc. RISE, a prominent ECBO established in 2004 to provide comprehensive support for refugees and immigrants with a focus on employment, education, social support, and economic independence. Haji's strategic directions and leadership has propelled RISE from a modest budget to an annual allocations of about $5 million organizations, primarily through securing grants to fund essential programs. And RISE serves nearly 800 families originating from over 35 countries. Thank you so much, Haji, for being here. And next we have Yahya Haqiqi. Yahya is president and CEO of the Afghan Support Network, ASN, a grassroots community-based organization dedicated to helping Afghans resettle and thrive in their new homes in Oregon. As a co-founder of ASN, Yahya has been instrumental in the organization's growth since its inception in September 2021. Under his leadership, ASN has evolved from a small nonprofit with a volunteer board to a mid-sized entity employing 13 staff members and operating a community center, forming a crucial pillar of support for the Afghan community in Oregon. Thank you so much, Yahya, for being here today. And last, it's me. My name is now Kabashima. I am co-founder and executive director of the Karen organization of San Diego, serving refugees from Burma here in San Diego, California. We started in 2009 by Karen leaders of the community, and this is our 15 years anniversary. So we are so happy to be here today. Let's go to the next slide. Today's learning objective. So by the end of the session, you will be able to describe the 5 stages of the development life cycle of an ethnic community-based organization and identify strategies for sustainable growth at each stage of ECBO development, and then apply new tools and resources for sustainable growth at each stage of ECBO development. Okay, so before going to the presentations and welcoming speakers, we wanted to do this quick Slido activity so that we know who we have today on this webinar. If you've never done this before, please, try to take a picture of this QR code and then go to your Slido, and then please answer to this multiple questions, which best describe your organizations or yourself. Are you from resettlement agency, ethnic community-based organizations, or state refugee office or replacement designee, and community members or other service providers? If you cannot use this QR code, you can also use the slido.com and then enter this number 6931-073. Thank you so much, everyone. Seems like about more than 40% people from ECBOs. We also have about 30% from other service providers. We have somebody from resettlement agency, state refugee office. We are really happy to have you here. Yes, I can see about 50% of today's webinar participants are from the ECBOs. So thank you for being here, everyone. I'm going to start right away. I know that everybody wanted to welcome our speakers right away, but I wanted to go over the 5 stages of the development life cycle for ECBOs before welcoming our ECBO leaders today. Next slide shows the model that we try to use, and nonprofit organizations, including ECBO, typically follow a predictable predictable life cycle. And I know that there are a lot of different models talk about the life cycle of the nonprofit organizations, but we chose this model created by Judith Shark and Simon. Why we chose this? Because we believe this image of butterfly-shaped kite and building kite from scratch and then trying to fly the kite going to give us better understanding of this model, especially for ECBO leaders and newcomer community members. And then we thought this model is easier for you to reflect your own organizations and then try to see where you are, where your organization is in this life stage and life cycle of the organizations. And we believe that it's very important for ECBO leaders to know where you are in this life cycle because each stage has different type of unique challenges and then also appropriate strategy to overcome those challenges. So let's go to the next slide. So before sharing the different stage of our life cycle, we wanted to share the 7 key arenas of ECBO development, and these are the characterizing the where you are in the life cycle. So let's go. The first one is governance and staff leadership, and we have finance and administrative system, and we have staffing, products and services, and marketing. So whenever you think about where you are as organizations in this life stage, you have to think about these different key arenas of ECBO development. Where am I, where my organization is about governance-wise, staff leadership-wise, financially, or administrative system, or marketing. So we wanted to share this first before going to the stage. Let's go to the next slide, the first stage. Yeah, the stage 1 is imagine and then inspire stage. You can see this picture of the kite that you're trying to create the kite from scratch. And in this stage, the leaders usually come together, and many ECBOs start with visionary leaders and then the community members who try to do something to meet the needs of the community who are new to this country. And so those leaders going to identifying unmet need in the community and envisioning goals and taking actions as an informal group. So at this stage, the organization is not formalized yet. So it is not formal nonprofit organization yet. But the primary question here is, can this dream be realized? As you can see this drawing, the leaders get together, and then while drawing, maybe you do community meeting, community kind of discussion sessions, and the leaders gonna thinking about what kind of kite looks good for this community, like what kind of butterfly, what kind of the color of the butterfly, size, is it big or small? And so this is the stage 1, that imagine and inspiring the stage. So let's go to the next one, the stage 2. This is a found and a frame stage. At this stage, the organization is actually receiving the organizational status, meaning maybe you are in registering your organizations with your state. It doesn't matter. Maybe some organization decide to go with the 501c3 right away, or maybe you're going to start working with fiscal agency at the beginning, but at least you are formal, official nonprofit organizations. And to found and then frame organizations, these going to be the completing task. So administrations or logistic infrastructures, the leader is gonna thinking about what kind of funding is available. And then the primary questions, how are we going to put this up? So we have a good vision and a good idea of starting organizations, and then we register. But how are we gonna fly this kite? We need money, we need a structure, maybe we need a partner, we need a supporter. So in this stage, we're gonna found and then frame the organizations. Let's go to the next stage. It is ground and growth stage. The organization is growing and is expanding by establishing the organization's foundation. So it's going to be more stronger and stable foundation compared to stage 2, building mechanisms for accountability, ensuring viability, growing and taking care of business. And primary question here, how can we build this to be viable? So you can see now kite is started to fly. I don't know how high it is, but at least started to fly. And so it's an exciting time. You know, you are dreaming a lot and then imagining, visioning, and now it's actually flying. So exciting time, but this stage requires the most growth in many organizational arenas. The arenas that we talked a little earlier, that about the governance or staffing, administration system or products, or marketing. And this stage, you need a stronger governance and diversify funding, and then also started to need to work with many different partners. So let's go to the next stage. After the stage 3, the kite gonna go even farther, going higher up, and then it's gonna be produce and sustain stage, and stabilizing organizations even while risking some stagnance, and pushing peak productivity, and focusing on sustainability. And primary question here is how can we maintain the momentum? So maybe at this stage, your organization is very stable, can be very productive, maybe well established and well known. Maybe a lot of organization in your community or people in your community know about your organizations. And maybe at this stage, some organizations started to kind of coach or support the smaller organizations or smaller organization leaders. You definitely need to, you have a more diversified funding, and then also more complicated the system, the organizations. So that was the stage 4, and then we go to the stage 5. This is a review and renew stage. At this stage, reinventing some way, shape, or form of this kite. So you starting from the vision, and then you have great leaders, and then now you have great system of the organization, staff members, maybe office, and then great products, programs, and services for your community members. But this is the time to revisit and renew aspects of the organizations. And for example, maybe your organization's missions might change, right? Maybe you started to, maybe at the beginning you were focusing on very specific community, maybe from specific ethnicity of the community, but because you're growing and you started to serve more like a bigger, larger community, so the target population might change. And although the missions is stay the same, but it doesn't really truly reflect who you are, or vision might need to shift, or products getting bigger. And then also the organization name that you named at the beginning of the organization at the stage 1 or stage 2 might not truly reflect who you are as an organization. So this is the review and renew stage. At this stage, primary question is, what do we need to redesign? Let's go to the next one. Okay, we also have a decline in dissolution stage. It's not the stage, but this can happen at any stage, maybe stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and not always negative. And that sounds of the decline or dissolution doesn't look negative, but maybe 100% of your organization needs are met because of your hard work of many years. So you have to close organizations, or maybe you started to work with other organizations and merged with organizations aligned with your value. And crisis in a majority of the 7 key arenas may indicate organizational decline. So the next slide, we're going to talk about what is the indicators, and then what we believe it's very important to talk about this because, this kind of indicator might happen any times at the stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as long as you know that indicators, and then you started to see some indicators of decline, that you can bring that up to the board. Maybe you can discuss with your community, with your staff. That's the reason why we are sharing these indicators. First one is lack of the board governance, lack of ED, leadership and a passion, high staff turnover, lack of community support, no program evaluation and needs assessment, and then financial crisis. So these can be indicators, and this is really good to have a conversation if you started to see some of these indicators. Let's go to the next one. eight assumptions, although we share those stages, and then the nonprofit organization and the ECBO typically go with this cycle, but organization, we have eight assumptions that this models is using. And organizations are forward moving, and various dimensions interact to create a pattern unique to a particular life stage. Five factors influence this. Age and size of the organization's growth rate of field, social environment, and primary leaders' characteristics. Significant events occur at each stage. And next one is, we have four more. There is no predictable endpoint in organizational development, and the stages of an organization's life are distinct, but the boundaries between the stages are not always obvious. And each stage can be defined by dominant characteristics, and each stage is uniquely variable to the organization's positive development. So all of these stages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then even the stage of dissolution is very important for that positive development of the organization. So before welcoming our speakers, I want to do one more Slido. And I know that this might be a new model for you, but I thought it's very good that if we can do this together. Which stage is your organization at in the organizational life cycle? And there's no right or wrong answer. And then, but I think it's good that if we can think together. These are multiple questions. Stage 1, imagine and inspire stage. Maybe some of you are very new and then thinking about starting an organization. Then stage 1, we have stage 2, found and frame. Stage 3, ground and grow. Stage 4, produce and sustain. We have review and renew. We have seems like about 50% of people are from the organizations at stage 4. So maybe your organizations might be very strong right now, and then you are keeping the momentum and then keep moving. But we also have community members who are from the organization in stage 5, stage 3, and stage 1. It's very exciting. Thank you so much, everyone, for doing this together. Okay, so this is exciting part. I'm welcoming our speakers today from 3 ECBO leaders, and each ECBO are doing amazing work and at the different stage of this life cycle of the organizations. And first of all, I would like to welcome Yahya. Yahya from the Afghan Support Network. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you so much. I'm going to pass to Yahya. Thank you, Yahya, for being here.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you for the amazing introduction earlier. My name is Yahya Haqiqi. I'm the president and CEO of the Afghan Support Network. The Afghan Support Network is based out in Portland, Oregon. We started about in 2021. Our vision really is we're focused on the Afghan community specifically. And as we talked about some of the stages, we came out of a need that we saw, and our vision is to create a future in which all Afghans prosper and contribute back to their communities. We want to change the image that people see of Afghans of one of immigrants and refugees to one of leaders, entrepreneurs in the future. And we do that through our mission, which is to empower Afghans through advocacy, services, and resources. So a little about how we came to be. Like I said, we started in September of 2021 when a couple of us community members really came together and said, what is our responsibility as we saw this large influx of Afghan refugees coming to the United States. And one of the first things that we did when starting the organization is we started with a strategic plan. We wanted to make sure that whatever work we do, we had a plan in place, and are following a plan as we move forward. And with that, we actually, because there was such a need and we organized quickly, we grew really quickly as well. So September of 2021 is when we registered with the state. By December of 2021, we had our 501c3 status. By January 2022, we had our first full-time staff member. By the end of that year, we had our ORR grant. And now, we are a team of 13 people, starting to work on our second strategic plan. Our first strategic plan was 2 years old. And really thinking about what the future holds. So we went through those first couple of stages really quickly, and feel a bit between that stage 3 and 4 right now, between still growing but also trying to find out, build our foundation, and find sustainability. Like I said, we have 13 current staff members. We've grown really quickly. We have 6 board members, and we're still focused on those primary focus areas that we started off with. But as we do our strategic plans, some of these are going to change, because some of the stuff we've already, did, and passed. In the beginning, we didn't have our own services to offer, so we were focused on connecting people to services. Now we have a bunch of English classes and permit classes, rent assistance. We have all of these things that we offer ourselves. So that's where we're switching gears a little bit as we rethink about what is it that we want to do moving forward. So so as we were going through these stages, sometimes it feels like you've already moved to stage 5 and are rethinking how you're doing things, and then coming back to stage 3 and going 4, 5, and doing it over and over again. So some of the challenges that we had to overcome as we were going from stage 1 to 3 is, we grew, like I said, we grew really, really quickly. And growth is great, but it can be, especially in the nonprofit world, it requires so much reporting and so much accounting, accountability. It can be really difficult without the proper infrastructure. And then as you grow, you don't want to grow too quickly to the point where you go into that decline phase. So controlling the rate of that growth is also just really important, and something that we have struggled with a little bit ourselves. And then even though we had a strategic plan with the focus is just, to create focus for you, not knowing how to say no can be really difficult, because there's so much need. So the strategic plan is supposed to help. That is still something that we have struggled with. So thinking about some of these challenges, I would love to hear from you all. What are some strategies that you think might have helped ASN overcome these challenges? So please, just use Slido to answer this question. I would love to hear from you all around what are something that you might have done in this case. Pro bono legal support. We did get pro bono legal support, and honestly, we could not have gotten our 501c3 without it. So that is 100% correct. I see there are other people writing as well right now. Community need assessment. Get more housing support. Assessing highest needs. These are great great thoughts. We did some sort of a community needs assessment in the beginning. We could have definitely done more. Working with other CBOs is great. Like I said, our beginning focus area was around service connection. So a lot of it was really focused, how do we connect people to other services? That means creating a lot of partnerships. Transportation, something we still struggle with. Ongoing monitoring and evaluation. Yep. Building capacity. These are some great ideas. I can tell there are folks that have already dealt with the same challenges that we have dealt with. um, guidance from other CBOs. Language justice, yes, access to language is a huge issue for a lot of folks. You know, from my personal experience, that was one of the things that I had to deal with as a child, was having to interpret for my parents all the time. So that was one of the reasons that I wanted to find this, because I wanted to make sure kids have their childhood and not have to go and be interpreters all the time. So completely agree with language justice. These are some amazing ideas. Thank you, everyone, for participating. So some of the stuff that we focused on, like I said, was the controlling growth by knowing what to focus on and when to say no. It's a really hard thing, but that strategic plan that you do in the beginning and then redoing your strategic plan becomes a huge part of knowing what to focus on and what to say no to. It is always going to be a struggle, but having something in writing makes it easier. The other part of it is focusing on the organization as much as the client. Yeah, a lot of the time organizations, when they start, they're really just focused on, we got to help people, we got to help people. But if you don't also try to grow the organization and build up its structures, whether it's HR or accounting, as you grow, is going to become much, much harder later on. And then having a strong, clear mission and vision early on. Without those, you don't really know what you're trying to do, right? What is the goal you're trying to achieve, and how are you doing it is incredibly important to any sort of growth. And also considering what the future may look like. That was something that we were really focused on. What is the future for this? You know, as a ECBO focused on specifically the Afghan community, you know, we are a very niche, we're serving a very niche community. And so you have to always think about, well, what does sustainability look like in the future? What does funding streams look like when a lot of these funding streams dry up? And have to be thinking ahead, one step ahead all the time, in order to make sure that you can continue to support your community, and not just all of a second have to decline dramatically because funding have dried up. So these are some of the stuff that has helped us so far. I wanted to share with you. There were some amazing ideas that we had tried already and hadn't tried. So thank you for participating. I think I'm going to give it back to now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Yahya. And now I'm gonna talk about my organization's current organization in San Diego. We advance educational, civic, economic opportunity for ethnic groups from Burma, also known as Myanmar, while honoring cultural heritage. Let's go to the next slide. So quickly, I want to go over our timeline of the organizational growth. We started with 2009 community organizing efforts. That times stage one, we are just dreaming and then also thinking what could be done, what can be the solutions to the struggle of our community members who are very new to this community. And then we see huge gap between what the San Diego community were able to offer and then the needs of the community. And so that 2009, we started to organize the community. And right away in 2009, we registered in California as organization, nonprofit organizations. In 2010, we got the 501c3. Although this first 2 years, we are applying many different funding. There's no funding were able to come to us. But 2011, we are very, very fortunate that we are able to get this ORR Ethnic Community Self-Help Grants. We got an award, and this was our first ever grant that we ever got. And because of this funding, we are able to get a community office. We are able to hire staff. And but later, 2017, we lost our funding. We get that funding again in 2020. But when we lost the funding, we struggle. We needed to create a new relationship, and then with the local government foundation, because we are not really prepared. We are very reliant on that ORR funding. And then, but we are able to create a new relationship, and then we again started to fly as a kite. And then 2020, we the San Diego Refugee Community Coalitions got formed, and then we are a member. And because of this coalition work, that we are able to start to get that different type of funding from bigger funders like a county or large funding, that we can kind of share the funding together and then do the work together as a community here in San Diego. So that next slide, very quickly, we have 16 members. We have 12 board members, and more than 70% of them are the refugee themselves. So we consider us as a community-led board, and we have 4 overreaching programs, including community program, family engagement, civic engagement, and economic development. Let's go to the next slide. We also have a different type of challenges. As Yahya shared, we had the similar challenges too, but we also have the culture, like maintaining cultural relevance. Even if we say refugee from Burma, the community is just so diverse. We have many different ethnicity, religion, languages, and the background of our community members are very diverse. So how can we maintain the relevance, and then also making sure that everybody from different ethnicity, different religion, different languages feel comfortable and then can trust us as their own community organizations. And finding sustainable funding support was also the challenge I also shared earlier. But when we lost our funding, we are not prepared. And navigating emerging community needs and improving the organization's structure to meet new operational challenges. For example, our budget last 5 years got doubled, but because we quickly grow, so we didn't really have the operational structures, not enough operation staff. And then, so now we are in the process of kind of reviewing and then assessing what kind of structure is good for us. So let's go to the slide quickly. I believe that some of the answer might be similar to somebody who shared with the Yahya's questions. But again, we want to go the same question with this slide. What strategy might help overcome these challenges? What I shared was about cultural relevance and diversifying funding, and then also the organizational structure that doesn't really match with how organization is running actually. And this number, you can also slido.com, and then you can put this number, and then you can also put the answer there. Developing policy, I like that. I cannot read everything, but policy and maybe protocol or something like that. But that's something that we needed to think about it. And then at the beginning, stage 1 and 2, even 3, we didn't really think through well about what kind of policies needed, especially when we are growing. Planning for funding loss, exactly. We were not prepared at the beginning, but because of the experience that we now know what needs to be done to prepare, and then always thinking about different type of scenario, and then diversifying funding so that we don't need to rely on only one type of sourcing. Okay, a lot of answer. Thank you. Institutional building, development database, management training, sharing other communities. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing this. Let's go to the next one. This is my last slide, and I'm going to pass to Haji. Our strategy, something that you share already too, but also we did create the community-led board. We had a community-led board, but we didn't have a majority at some of time of our organizations because we thought we needed to have legal perspective or that, some specific nonprofit organizational management skill. And we thought it's important to bring non-community members to the board, and then which is true. But at the same time, we needed to trust more on our communities, their wisdom, and then they know, our community leaders know how to unite the community, how to run the organization with us. and then build a trust and support through transparency with the community. For example, when we are about to boost the funding, we let people know and then involve them to think about our strategic planning for the fundraiser. And then our community members were part of our fundraising effort those days, or involving community members and their story in fundraising, and then working with other ECBO to apply together. That way we can grow, and then also we can support the small organizations, and then we grow together. Okay, so I'm gonna pass to Haji, Haji from RISE. Thank you, Haji, for being here.
All right, thank you so much, Nell and Yahya, for that incredible presentation. Thank you all for joining us today. So, RISE, Refugee and Immigrant Self-Empowerment, formerly known as the Somali Bantu Community Association. Our mission today is to advocate for and facilitate economic independence and community inclusion for refugees and immigrants through education, employment, social support, and service navigation. So, so I want to get into our timeline of organization, and what you are going to see is the different ways people actually different journeys of organization get into sustainability or where they are. So you heard about Yahya's organization journey, and also now the current organization. And when you look at RISE, it's completely maybe similar, but also a longer journey than what I call them. So for us, the Somali Bantu Association, this was founded in 2004 by a group of Somali Bantus who were resettled in Syracuse, New York, early 2004, and also into 2005, with the whole purpose of them coming together was just to support each other. And for when a family member is not able to, pay their rent, they were able to collect money and depend, because that's the culture of Somali Bantu, depend on each other. And that was the whole purpose. And then as we continue to stay, we realized that, the parents and the people that the Somali Bantu parents, the majority of them have never seen the four corners of a classroom, and adjusting to American life was so difficult and hard for them. So we kind of realized that from 2004 and then 2007, it was based on community support and all of that. And then we started with education, since 99% of the Somali Bantu community parents who came there were also illiterate even in their own language. So we focused on the education piece, because the hopes and dreams of the parents were the children. And then 2008, 2009, through connections of the community members, we realized that, we were told you can incorporate this and you can get funding for it and all of that. And then all of a sudden we get connected to Syracuse University Law School, who helped us put together our 501c3 application. So the process took about a whole year and a half. And then 2009, we became incorporated as an organization, but it still continued to provide education services for our youth. And then from 2009 to 2013, we were still doing education programming, mainly after school program. And then we slowly added programs for adults and citizenship programming, case management services, and then employment services, limited only just to the Somali Bantu community. And then 2011 and 12, a new wave of refugees start coming to Syracuse, and then we extended our hands to them, the Nepali, the Congolese, and we started providing services for them, even if our organization name was Somali Bantu Community Association. Then 2013, we had a leadership change, and all of this work was done on voluntary basis. The Somali parents themselves were paying everything from their pocket, whether it means to actually buy food for the children, or pen or pencils for the children, or whatever, providing transportation there, all of that, we were doing on voluntary basis. 2013, that's when I came in as volunteer executive director. And then at that time, we still had the Somali Bantu community board members. I told them, give it 6 months and then I'll figure it out and where we want to head. And all of a sudden, and thank God, 2014, we also received our ethnic community self-help grant, which was a blessing for us, because that was, some people call it seed money, but for us it was a blessing, right? So because that, it gave us, we used that as an opportunity to market our organization. We run with it, and media, radio shows and all of that. We were giving money. So the local foundations can actually also start trusting us to give us money and all of that. So 2014, we actually increased our employment services, case management services, and all of that. But we also had some challenges. When refugees come, other refugees like Nepali, Congo, Liberians, or other people, then they will say, "I'm not Somali Bantu. Can we actually, receive services?" And then we also apply for local foundation funding. When we say our mission statement at that time was to support the Somali Bantu community through employment education service, but while also maintaining their cultural identity. So the funders would also ask question, okay, you're telling me your mission statement is this, but you're helping these people. Can you actually explain to us? And then because back on that, and then we realized that we had to make a strategic planning change as to whether we want to change the organization name or to something else. So again, we connected to Syracuse University Maxwell School, who helped us put together a 5-year strategic plan. The whole goal was to either change the organization name to make sure that we are aligning with what the services that we're providing, or otherwise we keep the name but also have umbrellas for other organizations. But eventually they give us 5-year strategic plan, which Refugee and Immigrant Self-Empowerment, the name was born in 2016. So right now, today, in terms of programming, from 2016 until now, we have been actually changing programs and adding a program every other year. We're adding 1 or 2 other programs. Today, we are about 55 staff members, more than 35 different languages spoken, and 9 board members. And right now, we're providing 6 main programs. Refugee. Right now, we are also became a refugee resettlement, an affiliate organization for Ethiopian Community Development Council. We provide agriculture program, case management and employment services, education initiatives, care management services, and individual development account. So in every program, there's a lot of other programs. Like, for example, in education, we have the after school program, the child care program. We also have adult citizenship programs. So in terms of employment and case management, so we have a whole list of other programs and services that we provide. So in terms of strategies for overcoming, for overcoming challenges as an organization, our organization transitioning from community support organization to staff, all of us for 10 years, for us, 2004 all the way 2014, were already all of us doing every work voluntary basis. And now to transition from that to a paid staff, that was actually a very difficult transition for us, transition leadership also coming in from volunteer-based leadership and now getting paid, and then making sure that you come with a whole different system. And also identifying alignments between organizations' name and purpose, because the clients were asking questions and then funders were asking a different question. And also the founders, the framers of the organization, had a vision, which is to support our fellow refugees, because even if we don't speak the same language, we actually faced similar situation in our home country or in refugee country. So how can we align all of these things to make sure that we are actually doing what we're supposed to do when we are doing mission, when we are avoiding mission creep? Also, the resistance of community ownership, like, right, it used to be called Somali Bantu Community Association. Now you want to change it to Refugee and Immigrant Self-Employment. So the Somali Bantu community members were like, oh, okay, you're selling us, Haji. You actually change our name, because now how are we going to feel ownership of this organization? To make them understand, telling them, hey, what is your purpose? What's your goal? Asking them their goal and making sure that you translate their goal into more impact. And then that was also a big challenge that has taken a lot of time. So now, so I know that we have already talked about some of the challenges that you guys face. So some of you guys talked about prolonged legal support, community need assessment, assessing high needs, working with other ECBOs, building capacity. Some of the things that you already said is the same thing that we actually faced similar ourselves as an organization. So what I'm trying to do is, I'm not going to ask you the questions again to the Slido, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to talk to you about our way of sustaining our strategies for sustaining the organization and overcoming some of the challenges that you guys mentioned. So Rice, what we did is, despite of all those challenges, we partnered with local university for legal support in organization growth. And so we were trying to skip this later because I think some of the things that was said is kind of the same it's kind of the same things though. So I want to get into our challenge, the way we overcome those challenges. So you guys live in cities and states that have universities and colleges. Please make sure we were able to connect it and use them as a resource, whether it means to providing guidance, whether it means to volunteering for the organization, whether it means to internship opportunity and all of that. So some of the things that we also did was that we did not actually introduce new programs. The programs were, one program at a time. Like every year, we were introducing one or two programs. We were introducing one or two programs, and then the following year, we were doing that. For example, in 2014, we were only providing employment and case management services, education services. 2016, we introduced the agriculture program in an individual development account. So, and then 2017, 18, we introduced the care management, health home care management services. And then and then 2021, we introduced resettlement program. So we knew ahead of time, we wanted to make sure that we are actually doing all of this ahead of time. And then constantly making sure that our community assessment, for us, we were using our own clients to actually use them as assessing the community need. Every time a client comes to us, we will ask them, what are some of the things that you wish this agency provide? What are some of the things that we are providing that we are not actually providing in the way that you wish to be served? But for me, as a former refugee myself, Haji, Adan, I know some of the challenges that our refugees that are coming to our doors are constantly facing in their neighborhood, because I was once a refugee myself. My father was a refugee, my cousins, and everyone else. So for me, using my own experiences as well as the experiences of the newly arrived refugees, that's what we were using to assess our community needs assessments, to make sure that we tailor the programs the way we want. And also, one of the things that we did is like a trend is of like sometimes the interest of the community changes. Sometimes the focus of adult literacy. We were actually positioning the agency to make sure that we're providing a culturally appropriate adult literacy program to make sure that we make sure that the funders are fine and happy with us, but at the same time we are having more impact with our clients. So those are some of the things that actually we were able to overcome some of the challenges. So we've used the university, we've used volunteers, we've used our own staff members, but most importantly, we hired our own refugees, former refugees and immigrants who speak more, their languages, because our goal was to make sure when the clients come to our office, they are being greeted or otherwise served in a language they understand. So that are some of the questions. And now that I'm ready to turn over to now.
Thank you so much, Haji, for sharing. Now we want to go to a very quick panel discussion. I know we don't have enough time, but we have three questions. And then I know the first question, second question is really good one. But since we already share a lot, and then I remember that we touch upon some of the 1 and 2 answers. So maybe we just start with the third questions. The third question is, what advice would you give to new and evolving ECBO leaders who are in stage 1 and 2? We only have 5 or 6 minutes left for this part. So I'm really sorry that I have to skip some questions. But if you have any questions, everyone, please put into the Q&A. We wanted to start with the first questions that what kind of advice would you give to the leaders, evolving ECBO leaders? Do you want to go first, Haji?
Yeah, I think one of the advice that I would give when you are in stage 1 is making sure that you clarify your mission and vision statement, and you clearly state what you're trying to achieve. And then, making sure that you are building your legal organization documents and all those structure, and start small and think big, right? When you're passionate about something, you really want to do everything because you want to do that. But again, at the same time, the general advice is making sure that you can effectively communicate your mission and a vision statement. You yourself is a story. As a former refugee yourself, you yourself is a story. Make sure that you're communicating that to your partners and all of that. Another thing that I would say, make sure that you partnership and collaboration with other ECBOs. They're out there. Some of them, sometimes they don't want to collaborate and join you in your own vision and how you're trying to do something, but give them time and don't give up and make sure that you're persistent once you know that that you're going to achieve something. So, but most importantly, I call nonprofit organization labor of love, right? Like self-care. Take care of yourself. I know there's a lot of need in our community and we want to achieve something, but make sure that you're actually doing self-care and team care, making sure that you take care of your own staff members as well.
Great, thank you. Can I go, Yahya?
Yeah, Haji hit all the points I wanted to hit on. Those are really, having a really strong vision and mission is absolutely key. Um, you know, you need to be able to sell something, and that's what the vision is, right? What is it that you're trying to sell? Your grantors, to your community, to the people that are coming here, the clients you're supporting. And like I said, um, create a strategic plan early. And that will, things will shift, things will change, and you might not be able to follow it exactly, but at least it gives you guidance. At least it gives you some sort of a roadmap to follow. And then like Haji said, partnerships. There's going to be a lot of trust building in the beginning that you'll have to do. And the more partnerships you have, the more people will trust you. And then one of the things we really struggled with, and that Haji was really pointing out to, is marketing. This is something we struggle with because as a Muslim, this is kind of like a charity work in some ways, and our religion says don't if you give with your right hand, your left hand shouldn't know about it. It means don't brag about charity that you do. So that was one of the struggle that we have to, but in the nonprofit world, you have to market. You have to tell people about the work that you're doing. You can't just be like, oh, we're helping people. No one needs to know about it. You can't grow that way. So marketing is absolutely key. Just like this is a business at the end of the day, and you have to treat it like a business, even though the business is helping people.
Thank you. I know I wanted to answer, but yeah, you did amazing, Haji and Yahya. That's something that I definitely add. And then Haji mentioned, but definitely learn from other ECBO leaders. And then please contact us too. I'm really happy that we can connect with any ECBO leaders. And we put our email address in the chat. We're happy to receive any email. If you have any question, please connect with us. We learn a lot from other ECBO leaders, and we are continue learning. And then also the Switchboard have amazing resources. So if you can go to the Switchboard website, you will able to see a lot of different resources. There's some good questions in the chat. Maybe 1 minute, one question to Yahya, sorry. In what way did you prioritize an organizational house while also focusing on clients? Do you want me to answer this question, Yahya? I thought it's a great question.
As one of the things I was thinking about, one of the earlier question was like, what were some turning point moments, right? And I think one of the things is a lot of the time, especially when you're coming out, when your organization is built out of a crisis like ours was, the funding that's really available out there in the community is for service work, like front end support. And I think the way to prioritize is to go after funding to make sure you have administrative support. If you don't have somebody focusing on the organization itself, you're not going to be able to do the service end of it for long. And one of the turning points in our organization was when I came on full time as president and CEO of the organization. If I had continued, to do my other job full time and then did this on the side, we would not have grown at all. It would have been a one-man team that was just really doing everything they can. So like that piece is absolutely essential to have somebody whose job is not one person, by the way. Like at this point, I am struggling so much because I'm the only one. I just hired an administrative assistant. That's amazing. But you have to have folks focused on the administrative end. If you don't, you will struggle.
Thank you. Yeah. We had a similar struggle to administration operation needs. And then there are some funders that support that type of capacity building funding, or also some organizations providing pro bono consultation to ECBO to grow in that area. So that might be a good resource too. Okay, let's go to the closing of this webinar. I know we didn't have enough time, but thank you so much, Yahya and Haji, for amazing presentation and then sharing your stories. We learned a lot. Before closing, we wanted to share some resources on the Switchboard website, sorry. The link to those resources is going to be on the chat soon, but it's about developing your board to advance your organization mission. I see somebody definitely ask these questions in the chat. So this is definitely a good resource. There are a couple of e-learning courses. It might be good for the inspirational forming and then growth stage of your organizations. Next page is also, there are toolkits around the fundraising. We talked a couple of times about diversifying funding. And so this might be a good tool. We also have another evaluation e-learning course. There's a lot of other resources on Switchboard website. So we definitely recommend and then learn from the other organizations. Okay, let's go to the next. Now I believe that you are able to describe the 5 stages of the development cycle of an ECBO and then identify strategy for sustainable growth at each stage of ECBO development. Thank you so much, Yahya and Haji, for sharing your organization strategy. And then apply new tools. This model is a tool that you can assess your organization, where you are, and then also the resources on that switchboard for sustainable growth of your organization's development. 1 more minute, sorry. We have one quick survey. I hope that you can give us your 1 minute more to help us, help us to help you. Yeah. The quick question, just 5 questions. And if you can go to the link in the chat, or you can use this QR code, you can just answer to the quick questions. And then that's really help us to improve us. And then we can continue providing great webinars or resources on the Switchboard website. Again, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Please stay connected with us. This is our website information, social media. There's amazing tools and resources available for ECBOs and anybody for working in this field. So please continue to stay connected with us. And then please email us, me, Yahya, Haji. We are very happy to get any email and then connect with you. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Yahya and Haji, for being here. You're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to
Thank
share.
you. Thank you so much.